Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kevin Jansen and today I'm going to talk about the Dutch De Zeven Provinciën-class cruisers, the last gun cruisers in the world. Most people will have heard of these post-World War II cruisers at some point, but where does the story begin for this class of light cruiser? To answer that we'll have to go back to 1937. The Dutch Navy was in need of a big upgrade. As early as 1936 discussions had started at the Ministry of Defense and the Naval Staff about the designs of two new cruisers to replace the cruisers Java and Sumatra, which both dated from 1925 and 1926 respectively. The new light cruiser was given the name Eendracht, and the earlier cruiser De Ruiter had been chosen as the design basis for it. The new design for the cruisers had a maximum length of 185.7 meters, that is 609.25 feet, and a maximum beam of 17.25 meters, that is 56.6 feet. The water displacement fully equipped, so with the storage tanks filled to 98%, would amount to 10,795 tons. However, the standard displacement was 8,350 tons. Propulsion was provided by Parson turbines with an installed power of 78,000 horsepower at 300 revolutions per minute, so that the required speed became 32 knots. The ship's protection was 100mm of armored belt around the hull, and the ship's end were protected by a narrower 75mm belt. The deck was 25mm thick and was connected with the upper edge of the belt, and the turrets had 100mm of frontal armor and 50mm on all the other sides. For the main weapons, it was originally planned to arm the cruisers with the usual 150mm 53 calibers long guns, but later the new 150mm 53 caliber long guns had been chosen. The order to manufacture the weapons was given out to the Swedish Bofors company. The ship was supposed to be armed with 10 of these guns. They would have been located in 4 turrets, that being 2 triple and 2 twin turrets, with the triple turrets being placed on the lower deck, one fore and one aft, and the 2 twin turrets also being placed one fore and one aft, but super firing over the triple turrets. These turrets were built and ready to be shipped to the Netherlands, but due to the German invasion of the Netherlands, these could not be sent. Instead, Sweden kept the turrets and reused them on their own Kreuzer-class cruisers. The maximum elevation angle of these turrets reached 60 degrees, which would give them the possibility to shoot at air targets. Thanks to the last circumstance, the designers chose to limit the large caliber secondary weapons and instead focused on more powerful medium range weaponry. In this case, that being 12 40mm Bofors guns mounted in 6 double Hasemeyer gun mounts. Further planned weapons were 8 50 caliber machine guns mounted in 4 double turrets, 6 533mm torpedo tubes mounted in 2 triple turrets, one on either side of the ship, and 2 extra Fokker C-14 floatplanes. Orders for 2 cruisers were given out to 2 shipbuilding companies, Dok- en Werfmaatschappij Wild en Feyenoord and Rotterdamse Droogdokmaatschappij. The hull at Wild en Feyenoord was given the name De Zeven Provinciën, and the hull at the Rotterdamse Droogdokmaatschappij was given the name Kijkduin. Both hulls were planned to be completed by the end of 1941. On May 19, 1939, the first keel plate for the Kijkduin was laid down with some ceremony at the shipyard of the Rotterdamse Droogdokmaatschappij. On September 5, 1939, this also happened at Wild en Feyenoord for the Zeven Provinciën. Wild en Feyenoord was a little bit later because of the construction of the new building slope for the ship to stand on. Construction on the slopes progressed quickly. At the beginning of 1940, Wild en Feyenoord had more than made up for the backlog with the machining of the hull and other material. The yard had even gotten ahead of the shipyard in Rotterdam. Sometime during 1940, the Kijkduin was renamed to Eendracht for unclear reasons. On 10th of May 1940, the Zeven Provinciën was 25% completed and the Eendracht was 12% completed. But then World War II came knocking at the door. Germany invaded the Netherlands, and after 4 days of hard fighting the Dutch surrendered. The Germans found the 2 hulls still standing on the stocks, but instead of scrapping them for parts, the Germans saw the potential in these 2 brand new and advanced light cruisers, and so it was decided to continue work on the cruisers on an altered German design. The continuation of the hulls was, well, on the Dutch side, seen as a kind of a job creation. Nevertheless, the activities were deliberately delayed and continued with much difficulty. The Zeven Provinciën was renamed to KH-1 and the Eendracht renamed to KH-2. KH stands for Kreuzer Holland, or in English that means Kreuzer Holland. The same had been done for a Dutch destroyer that was still under construction during the German invasion. This one was renamed to ZH-1, standing for Zestorer Holland, which of course means Destroyer Holland. The new German design of the two cruisers is a bit mysterious, but supposedly the armament planned for the cancelled M-class light cruiser and also the secondary weapons of the cancelled H-class battleships were to be reused for these Dutch cruisers, giving the ships 850mm SK-C-28 guns mounted in 4 LC-34 twin turrets. The 40mm armament was changed to 6 37mm autocannons, but it is not clear if these were the older SKC-30 guns or the newer M42 flak guns. The small caliber anti-aircraft weaponry is not clear for these ships, but it would have most likely been something around the form of 2 or more 20mm flak feeling mounts. At last, the torpedo tubes had been changed to German tubes and the floatplane aircraft had changed to Arado AR-196. One of the two cruisers, KH-1, received an Atlantic bow so that it would shovel less water in the rough Atlantic Ocean, and it was destined as a training cruiser should she ever be completed. On the 24th of December 1944, KH-1 was launched at Wild en Feyenoord with the intention of sinking the hull as a block ship in the Nieuwe Waterweg. Fortunately, this plan was not carried out. During the liberation of the Netherlands in 1945, both hulls were found undamaged. The first concern was to conserve the hulls. The name of the Eendracht, which is under construction at the Rotterdamse Droogdokmaatschappij, was now changed to the Ruiter. Most of the material ready for processing in 1940 had disappeared. However, the heavy armor and main turbines was still there. With the war now being over and many lessons being learned from it, the Dutch Navy saw an opportunity to alter the design of the cruisers. The British Royal Navy offered the opportunity to work out new plans together with the Dutch. The name of the class was also changed now. It was now being named the Zeven Provinciën-class. During 1946, up to 8 different weapon configurations were designed on paper, known as the Plan A all the way up to the Plan H. Many had the same general idea, while others showed a completely different setup. Let's quickly go over the different designs. To make things easier, I'll group some of the designs together since they are very similar. Plan A and B are very much still a World War II style cruiser, being armed with 6 150mm 53 calibers long Bofors guns in 2 triple turrets, 4 twin QF 4-inch Mark 16 guns, 6 twin 40mm Bofors and 2 quad 533mm torpedo tubes. Plan A also had 4 twin 50 caliber machine gun mounts, where Plan B had 5 mounts proposed. Plan A and B differ slightly in the 4-inch and the 40mm gun placements, with the Plan A having the 4-inch guns on the center of the ship, while Plan B having them more spread out on all sides of the ship. Plan C, D and E are straight up Dido class cruiser copies, being armed with 10 QF 5.25-inch naval guns in 5 twin turrets. Plan C and D having 3 turrets superfiring on the front and 2 on the rear, and Plan E having it mirrored with 2 turrets on the front and 3 on the rear. Plan C was also proposed with 7 twin 40mm Bofors guns, whereas Plan D and E had 6 twin mounts. At last, all 3 designs were planned with 4 twin 50 caliber machine gun mounts. Plan F, G and H don't have proper blueprints available for them sadly. Instead, they simply show more different primary weapon configurations, with Plan F and G having 950mm guns in 3 triple turrets, with Plan F having 2 of them on the front and 1 on the rear, and Plan G being mirrored with 1 on the front and 2 in the rear. Plan F and G were also planned with 7 twin 40mm Bofors guns and 4 twin 50 caliber machine gun mounts. Plan H has 850mm guns in 4 double turrets, 2 superfiring on the front and 2 on the rear. 6 twin 40mm Bofors and 4 twin 50 caliber machine gun mounts were also proposed forward. It is not exactly clear which exact plan was chosen, but Plan H shows the same primary gun layout that we see on the final design of the Zeven Provinciën-class. The final design of the ships had 852mm Bofors automatic radar controlled guns, mounted in 4 twin turrets. Secondary weaponry came in the form of 8 new 57mm Bofors AA guns in twin quick revolving triaxially stabilized turrets. Further weaponry was 8 40mm Bofors guns in 8 single mounts. The ship's protection, as completed, was 75mm of armor built around the hull, with the ends being slightly narrower by 50mm, and also a flat 30 to 20mm deck was connected with the upper edge of the belt. The turrets had 100mm of frontal armor and 50mm on all other side, just like the original Eendracht class. Hollandse Signaalapparaten, now known as Thales Nederland, started a successful series of sensors for the cruisers. New variants of the LW01 air warning radar and DA01 target point radar would later appear regularly. which was subsequently also exported abroad. The LW-01 was a 2D radar, meaning that the altitude of an air target had to be measured separately with a VI-01 height radar. The speed of the ships was the same as the original Eendracht class, that being 32 knots. Both ships were finished according to the new design and commissioned in 1953, de Ruyter on the 18th of November and de Zeven Provinciën on the 17th of December. De Ruyter was given the pennant number C801 and de Zeven Provinciën was given the number C802. The ships in Dutch service mainly stayed active at the low level of the violence spectrum, so to say. They did however serve as a deterrent should a war ever be about to break out. The cruisers did not take part in any real conflicts such as Korea or the conflict in Indonesia or the Gulf War. However, they did make many trips mainly for exercises, and they also provided emergency assistance wherever it was necessary. In 1956 it started to become clear that the era of conventional weapons and steam turbines was coming to a close, and that guided weapons and nuclear propulsion was the way forward. The United States had refitted the Baltimore-class heavy cruiser USS Boston into a guided missile cruiser with RIM-2 Terrier surface-to-air missiles. Luckily the Dutch had good connections with the US, and so the Dutch showed their interest in the RIM-2 Terrier surface-to-air missile launchers. On the 10th of April 1962, the Zeven Provinciën was taken out of service for a major refit. The entire rear of the ship was going to be changed to create room for a single RIM-2 Terrier surface-to-air missile launcher. In the process, the two rear 152mm turrets, the rear 57mm turret and four 40mm turrets were removed. Also, the superstructure on the rear had to be changed together with all the decks below. Together with these changes, the sensors and computer systems were also upgraded. Most importantly were the brand new SPS-39 3D air warning radar and the two SPG-55 exposure radars. The SPS-39 allowed the crew to see everything in the air just like the earlier radar, but now the altitude could be determined immediately without using a separate radar. The refit lasted until 1964, and when it was taken back into service, the Zeven Provinciën became the first ship in Dutch service with guided weapons. Due to the lack of funds, the sister ship De Ruyter was not refitted with the RIM-2 Terrier launcher and instead kept her original weaponry. During the 1970s, it was becoming clear that the two cruisers were coming to an end of their career. Budget cuts and new developments in guided missile frigates were starting to interfere with the large cruisers. De Ruyter was decommissioned in 1972, and the sister ship De Zeven Provinciën followed suit in 1975. The two cruisers were replaced by two Tromp-class frigates. Luckily, this was not the end of the cruisers. Both cruisers were purchased by Peru. De Ruyter, which was decommissioned in 1972, was bought by Peru in 1973 and was renamed to Almirante Grau and given the pennant number CLM-81. When the Zeven Provinciën was decommissioned in 1975, it was also quickly purchased by Peru in 1976. It was renamed to Aguirre and given the pennant number CH-84. Before Aguirre was transferred to the Pacific Ocean, it underwent a major rebuild program by the Rotterdamse Droogdokmaatschappij at its shipyard in Rotterdam. Modifications included the removal of its RIM-2 Terrier SAM system and the installation of a fixed helicopter hangar and a flight deck. The 152, 57 and 40mm guns were kept on the ship. The upgrade was finished on the October 31st, 1977, and the ship was commissioned on February 24th, 1978 at the Dutch naval base of Den Helder. Almirante Grau served as the fleet warship of the Peruvian Navy, but during 1986 she underwent a major modernization. The modernizations were carried out in the Netherlands. The modernizations upgraded the ships with tons of new radars, fire control radars, ESM systems, decal launchers and more. Also, the four twin 57mm Bofors turrets were removed. Modernizations were finished in 1988. Further work was carried out by CIMA dockyards in Callao, where during 1993 8 Automat Mark II surface-to-surface missiles were added, and during 1996 2 Automalawa twin 40L70 Dardo compact gun mountings were added, which replaced 4 of the single 40mm Bofors guns. By the 1990s the Aguirre was beginning to show her age, but lack of funds prevented any major upgrade, and so finally on the 24th of March 1999 Aguirre was decommissioned. Almirante Grau managed to stay in service as the fleet warship for quite some time due to her major modernizations, but she was eventually decommissioned on the 26th of September 2017. She was the last gun cruiser in service in any navy, and when we look back at the Dutch service too, she served for a total of 64 years. And her original hull being laid down in 1939 makes it 78 years old. On the 9th of October 2019, the Peruvian Navy announced that she will be preserved as a museum ship in Lima. And well, there you have it, the entire history of the De Zeven Provinciën-class cruisers. I was motivated to make this video because I'm Dutch myself, and I felt like this class of cruiser deserved more attention, especially the original design of the cruisers just before World War II. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and if you want me to make more videos like this, be sure to let me know in the comment section. Keep in mind my naval expertise lies with the Dutch Navy, so I'll only make videos on Dutch ships. Also be sure to check out the video series on this channel, Military Mutterings, where I and my good friend Jack Fletcher talk about various different military subjects. We've only just started this channel, so be sure to share it with your friends. Anyways, that is enough talking for today. I hope you all have a nice day and I'll see you next time. Take care.